What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the Grit and Grind Show. It's Tuesday, April Fool's Day. There's a lot of jokesters out there, but no jokes up in here. We got Dalton Hererro of the Tampa Bay Brigade coming on. He's going to talk a little bit about what he's got going on. New dad. He's got dad life responsibilities. He's got paternity leave. He's training for the 2025 season. He's got a lot going on, but he did take some time out, and we're going to grant him the best interview that we could possibly give. So with that, before he hops on, we got to pay the bills around this place. The Grit and Grind Show is brought to you by Chinook Seedery. Whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. 8 flavors, mild to wild. Go to your local gas station, grocery store, convenience store. Go to the snack aisle and pick up the best seeds in the game, Chinook seeds. And Old Dominick Distillery, experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in a day for a tour or to pick up your favorite bottle. And with that, we got to get to it. We got to hop in it. We got to make it quick because dad life will call at any moment. Welcome to the show, Dalton Hererro. Dalton, what's up, brother?
What's going on? Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So obviously the elephant in the room. You're a dad now. How do you feel? Do you feel differently? Were you preparing for this? Like what are all the feels right now?
I mean, you could prepare for it the best you can, but it's like anything. I think it's a little scarier thinking about what's going to happen than when it actually gets here. You kind of just take it day by day. My brother-in-law actually had his baby 2 months ago, so I got some diaper changing practice and got some good hands-on before mine got here. Yeah,
I know.
it's been crazy. It's awesome. It's like I said, it's a miracle watching that happen. Yeah, she's 2 weeks old yesterday, so we've been going through it. It's been crazy.
Man, what's the sleep situation like? Is it rough? Is it as
It's
rough as you thought it was going to be?
it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The first like 3 days, 4 days, it was staring at her all night. Me and my wife just not knowing what's going on. First time parents, but actually the last like week and a half, we've kind of got it a little dialed in. We're gonna have to change it when I go back to work, but I've been staying up from like 9 to 1 or 2 o'clock, and she sleeps the whole time basically, and then my wife kind of changes with me, and I'll sleep from 2 to 9:30 ish, and it's been working pretty good.
Well, look, man, there's no manual to parenting. Just do the best you
Right,
can. The only thing that I do know that works, just love your kid. And
right.
that never fails. But obviously things are going well. New baby girl in the house. Like you got to be jacked up for that. But also we got a new season coming up. 2025 is here. It's upon us. But before we get into that, I kind of want to get through your fitness journey. Were you an athlete growing up? Like, how do you find the weight room? How do you find fitness? Or is this something that just came with the career that you got?
Yeah, so I played every sport growing up basically besides soccer. I played basketball, football, baseball. Baseball was definitely my favorite sport. Played that in high school. Um, I didn't go any further than that in high school, but like now I'm playing softball every week with the fire department. Still love baseball. Um, yeah, really I was doing bodybuilding stuff for a long time. Really didn't find CrossFit until my wife introduced me to it. It was terrible. I didn't want to go back. I went one time and then I didn't go back for like a month. But after that, kind of like everyone else, drank the Kool-Aid and I loved it. The competition aspect, obviously, I'm very competitive. I try to keep it contained as much as I can, but obviously, in some of the grid clips, you can see it comes out. But yeah, I mean, just doing CrossFit and at a local gym, I love the competition. And then one day I saw that I think it was CrossFit Big Guava was having hey, we're having a combine. Come out and check it out. I had no idea what grid was. I had no idea like about the older grid or anything. I was like, hey, let's just go change it up. Let's go hang out with some new people on a random Sunday afternoon. And yeah, and that was pretty much it. I was good
And
at climbing ropes, and I had no idea that I was that good at climbing ropes. and Jess asked if I could do triple unders, and I ended up doing like I think a set of like 5 or something, and she was like, "All right, you're in."
You know what pisses people off when you just say, "I've never done a triple under before, and I just was able to do 5 of them."
Yeah.
That's how you know, like, your level of athleticism as it's just at a different level because, I've been into a lot of CrossFit gyms, as I'm sure you have, but, like, not everybody can just get on the rig and do a muscle up or a bar muscle up or, get over there and pick up a jump rope and do some triple unders or double touches. Like, it's really like it takes a level of athleticism that not everyone has. So you should be proud of that. Like, that's something unique that you can do, and you are a former utility player of the year, so that's even better. But um let me ask you this: when your wife introduces you to CrossFit, did some part of you go, "Oh man, like I can't like tell her like I don't want to do this, or like I quit this, like I don't want to do this," because on the surface level, like, sure, like, you could tell your wife anything, but deep down, like, if she's doing it and you can't do it, like, that's just no bueno, man.
Right. And I it was crazy. It's still crazy to me that I had never heard of CrossFit before. Like I had never even I had no idea what it was. And to show up to the gym and see how many people were like there doing it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I got my ass kicked pretty bad the first time I went in there, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I've The most cardio I've ever done was running foul poles with my shin guards on in baseball practice. And when you have shin guards on, you're allowed to be the last one running foul poles. So it's
Yeah.
like the cardio is never my strong suit, but it's gotten a little bit better.
Well, I mean, there's a level like of intensity and cardio, that you've got to have for grid. Like, I don't know. I'll ask you because a lot of athletes that come on, they say, the grid speed is just something different. Like, you just can't mimic it, even in practice. Like, you can't mimic it until you're actually there. What is grid speed like for you? Is it something that's a little bit easier because of like, I would say everything compared to your job outside of your job might be easy just because like being a firefighter, paramedic, like you're being pushed into very extreme environments and very stressful, high intensity situations all the time. So I can imagine like going and doing like Fran or doing like a CrossFit hero wad is like a off day for you, man. It's just easy.
I don't know. I don't know. Some of the like we practice a lot of stuff in the fire department, and you have a whole team with you, and you have to trust them like 100%. There's no You can't have doubt in our job at all. Like you have to put aside any doubt, and you have to know that the guys that you're with, the the like stuff that you're wearing, like your SCBA, like you have to have full confidence in it, or you don't go, because if you get hurt, there's a whole crew gonna come after you. They're gonna risk themselves. You know what I mean? So that part of it is like, you know, it's interesting because in CrossFit, you're kind of it's all on you, and if you fail or you don't get the time that you want to get, it's all on you. And that's what I like about grit, is that it's like a team aspect. And that's what I like about our team the most, is like we practice a lot. I think we practice more than any other team. I know last year we practiced more than any other team did all together as a team. Um, and that's what I like. But the intensity part, I love it. I'm not a huge fan of, hour and a half long workouts. I don't think you'll ever catch me on a high rocks floor. That's just not my style. Like I said, playing baseball is it's not obviously not 2 minutes long, but high intensity, like throwing a baseball, swinging a bat. Like it's more short term, high intensity than like a long grind.
Look, man, once you become a dad, gone are the days that you can go out there and do 40, 50-minute workouts, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to do it like in like my favorite thing to do now. All right, when I'm strapped for time, two things. It's my go-to things: grace and 150 burpees for time. Kick-ass workouts, get them done really quick in about 5 to 10 minutes, and you're good to go. No prep work. You don't even have to really warm up, even though you probably should, but I don't. Um, but no, when you look back at how you got to the brigade, is it do you ever think like what would have happened if you didn't just decide to go to Guava that day and you just was like, that's a good idea, but like whatever. Do you think you would have found it eventually, or do you think like that was like the the thing that got you there?
I think that was the thing that got me. It was literally just a random Sunday, and like I usually don't even work out on Sundays. And I saw it was actually Jess's post. Someone else posted it because I didn't follow her at that time.
Mhm.
And I was it was in that COVID era, right? So I was working out at home more than I was at the gym, and I love like being in a class setting, even though I have my whole garage gym here now. Um, and it was like, hey, I've been working out at home for like a month straight now by myself or with my wife, just my wife, you know. And I was like, I want to go get out to the gym, and I saw her post to come do it, and yeah, it was crazy. I of like making the team. I was just like, hey, let's just go get a cool workout in, meet some new people, and it just happened all so quick. It was crazy.
And so when was this?
So this is my fourth year this year. So it was 2021, but at that point it was like I said, we were so accustomed to working out in my in-laws
Yeah.
like home gym. It was like it was hard to go back to the CrossFit when, like you said, you walk into the house and your gym's right there.
Yeah, it's a time saver, and like there's really no excuse because like you walk by it 100 times a day, and like if you don't go out there and do something, like you only have yourself to blame for that.
Right. My
Um,
wife told me, she's like, if you're gonna turn our garage into a gym, you have to use it.
no problem. And here's the kicker. She little did she know you were going to transform the backyard into a gym too. Like you
Yep.
have like tell me about this. Like what's the decision that goes into all right, I just want to build a rig out in the back and like does she go for that immediately or you have to like sweet talk her? Like what did you just do it one day and she didn't even know about it? Or does she still not know about it? I don't know.
No, I definitely had to sweet talk her into it a little bit. Um, First of all, we live in like an HOA. Don't tell anybody. But like we're backed up against a retention pond, thankfully, and I have some cool neighbors. So they have no one said anything yet. It's been up for like 3 4 months now, so I think I'm in the clear. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just anytime I got had to go practice gymnastics, it was go to Hyde Park, which is I live in up in Dade City now, so it's an hour away.
Yeah.
So it was once every couple weeks whenever we had practice was when I would be able to practice stuff like rope climbs and ring muscle ups and even bar muscle ups. All I have is a in here is a bar that my head would hit the ceiling if I was trying to do muscle ups. So the double touches and
Cut.
triple touches, like you have to do that stuff on a weekly basis or it's like starting over almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's muscle memory that goes into it, but there's also these little, stabilizing muscles that you have to work that allow you to do those things. And then also the only way to become the most efficient at movements like that is just to do them.
Right.
And if you can't practice them multiple times in a week, you're only doing yourself a disservice, especially if that's what your responsibility for in the grid or on the grid is going to be is those particular movements. But once you find the brigade, are you like you said like you weren't really sure what grid was, and then you went there. Did you do some research like after Jess was like, we want you? Like, did you do some research and then go, let me make a decision, or did you immediately go, yeah, I'm gonna do this no matter what?
Oh yeah, at that point in my life, I was like, yeah, we're doing it for sure. It's right away. It was like kind of like when I started CrossFit. Um, I didn't even wasn't around for the Rich Froning era. So when I first started CrossFit, I watched every documentary and just like was like, where has this been? Like I had no idea. So like watching all those movies and shows is like really got you into it. And same thing with grid. So like I'd never heard of it before somehow, and after you get introduced to it, you go back and look at like all the history behind it, and you're like, this has been going on for a lot longer than I thought. And you watch races and you watch the old races, and who's been doing it. Like I had no idea that Noah Olson and Matt Frazier and all them and had done grid in the past.
Yeah.
And you kind of just like I said, you watch all the shows and you kind of really get into it at that point.
Speaking of Matt Frazier, I just saw something. I heard he signed with the Brigade. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know what day it is, but that would be pretty cool.
I mean, who knows? You might show up on day one of practice and there he is.
Yeah, now that I'm a
Just
dad, maybe I can talk him into it. Be like, dude, you got plenty of time.
yeah, for real. Come on, man.
Don't lie to us. I know you got
Yeah.
plenty of time.
Um, so you do some research, you look into it, you're fully committed at this point, but do you still know exactly what you're going to be doing, or is it the first practice now you're kind of getting the idea of what your responsibilities are going to be?
Yeah, like I said, the tryouts was like, and like I rode an echo bike and I did some handstand push-ups and some box jump overs, and I was like, and they're like, yeah, you did really good, and the triple unders and the rope climbs you're pretty good at, and I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. And I look at some of the shows and I'm like, there's no assault bikes
Like
and grid. Like,
they
why did
got
they
you.
have why did they have me do an assault bike at practice? But yeah, like I had no idea. Like I said, I meeting the people on the team, like you could tell, like there was a small group on the team that we had in 2021 that was super into it. Like Chris has been a godsend from teaching me like all the gymnastics movements and like I was always kind of naturally good at doing like the bar stuff. It's because I weigh 160 pounds or what, but or all the curls I did in high school baseball because we didn't really work out for high school baseball. All we did was curls. But yeah, I was always better at gymnastic stuff than like heavy barbell stuff, obviously. But yeah, like Marissa and Chris both like definitely took me under their wing, and getting that first like double touch and triple touches is like, okay, once you do it's like kind of like double unders. Like I was took me 3 months to learn double unders, right? But then once you get that skill, it kind of just clicks and you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And that's kind of like what they did for me. And it kind of fast forwarded that process, having them kind of tell you what it's supposed to feel like and show you what you're supposed to be doing. And kind of realize that I was going to be utility player, but more on the body weight specialist side for sure.
Well, I mean, you've carved your niche out, man. You're high level for the brigade and a much needed player on the roster. When you are looking at the league as a whole, now that you've been in it for 4 years, um, are you amazed at the expansion and the growth of the league in just that 4 year span?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great athletes now that showing up out of nowhere. It's like before it was, there's people on our team, but they're just like no like games athletes. You'd say there was before me, but like I started the first 2 seasons, really, there's no like games levels athletes, and now it's like every team has 2 or 3 games athletes on their team.
It's crazy. And you might start seeing that more. I mean, obviously, with where CrossFit is and it's whatever we'll call it, but you're going to get some people that are doing different things. It's not to say that they're not going to be doing CrossFit, but there was a time where it was CrossFit and nothing else, but now
Right.
you're getting into a space which is nice where CrossFit athletes are starting to do other types of sport, grid being one of them. And it only is good for, to get more people in the sport, get more eyes on it, and make it be this nationwide thing. And you can only, look at that and go, man, we've expanded to outside of the state of Florida with a team in Atlanta who just won the championship last year to a team in Houston. We rebranded a team from Daytona. They're out in Vegas. I mean, there's a lot of good things going on with the league and the sport. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it's got to be a blessing that you got in when you did, but also
Yeah.
it's like, well, I got to continue to be on my A game because I mean, I know how I would be. Like, I ain't letting nobody come in and take my spot.
Right.
So,
And like I said, it's fun, man. Like
yeah,
the grind of trying to be really good at CrossFit is obviously can be like monotonous and like hard. Like the
yeah,
games athletes say it, like they're like, this isn't like that fun sometimes to be in the gym 8 hours a day. just grinding away. And I think it's obviously kind of can be intimidating to do like grid if you like look at it from a different perspective, but it's fun, man. Like you don't have to like kill yourself. I mean, you get really good at the stuff that you're good at. You don't have to, you know, be like, oh man, I got to go sit on a rower for an hour in the garage to get better at rowing. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
kind of, you do the stuff that you like. And I mean, there's nothing better than doing flips on rings in your backyard. And it's like, that's the fun part about it is like you get to grind on stuff that you like to do.
Yep. And you know what gets better? When your kid gets older and they see you doing that, and then they go, I want to do that.
Yeah,
And then
I
it's
can't wait.
like,
I mean,
it's,
I should have done gymnastics growing up. Like my mom was a national level gymnastics athlete. And I just, I baseball, football was the
you,
sport,
you'd rather be running foul poles with shin guards. Come on.
Right, right. It's like, man, I
I
should have
mean,
done some gymnastics.
what's your take on these torpedo bats?
I don't know. I've never even like heard of that before. That's crazy. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess if I don't know if it'll last. It'll either everyone will have it or it'll just go away. I
well,
feel
see,
like.
that's the thing. Like, I am a baseball guy at heart. And here's the deal. Everybody in the league has the opportunity. They could get a torpedo bat.
Right.
But some people just want to bitch about it, while others are being like, I'm just gonna take it and rake and hit bombs.
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. It's interesting. I don't know. Like I feel like hits off the end of the bat. Like if you don't fully, you don't. I feel like if you don't barrel it, it's not gonna. It's
Yeah,
gonna be dead.
it's here's the thing. It's no different than the regular bat, except the sweet spot of the bat is a little bit bigger. You still have to barrel up the baseball. Like, and
Right.
that's like, I don't care what anybody says, that's not easy. That's a very difficult thing to do. It just looks easy because these guys are professionals and that's
Right.
what
They're
they
the
do.
top one
They
percent. Right.
right. And so like to barrel up a ball, they're gonna do that a lot. But the times that they don't, I'm sure it doesn't work out that well for them, obviously, because it's baseball is a game of failure. People are gonna fail more times than they succeed. But hey, if it gets more long balls, like I'm about long balls. I'm
Yeah.
okay
As
with
long
that.
as the Yankees don't win the World Series, I'm all for
Well, brother, I mean, the- it's probably going to be the Dodgers. Let's be real. Like
Yeah.
that's just not even fair. But
That we need to get Trevor Bauer back in the league.
if you don't follow him on social media, you should. Like he is a maniac,
It's
just a
incredible.
maniac. But we could talk baseball all day, but I want to get back to this. Obviously, last season you guys come up short. You know, a very good season. You can't like put the stamp on it that it was a failure. I mean, you could, I guess, but you go into the last regular season match and you don't need to win it. You just need to lose by less than 5, and you did that. You didn't win, but you kept the point differential where it needed to be so that you earned a top 4 seed. You end up being the number uh,
I
4
think we're
seed,
four seed.
and,
Yeah.
and you take on the number 1 seed, the Sharks. And looking back on the season, the Sharks are what they are, and you guys go in there, and it's actually a very, very competitive match. It comes down to the sprint relay. Um, when it comes down to just one race, is that just do you say, well, this was just a good match, or do you go, we could have done better in other races that wouldn't allowed it to be coming down to this last race?
Yeah, I know. I mean, example number one was my triple under uh, race. It was I failed the triple unders. I mean that race right there makes. I mean, you still have to win the sprint relay, but just right there. I mean, that's one mistake right there. I mean, like you said, we had a great race and we definitely gave them hell.
Yeah. I didn't want it to come out that way, like I was putting you on a spot,
No,
like,
no, but
hey,
I mean that dude. I think about it. Ask me how many triple unders I've done since that moment. Like
oh, I
almost every day I do a set of triple unders now, and I got a new rope. I mean, speed rope. The last rope I had was a little too thick. I mean, I was doing triple unders. It's no excuse, but I mean, I have the best rope possible. I've been practicing them like crazy. That definitely something like that happening to you definitely stays in the back of your head, and You don't want that to happen again.
Well,
That's part of
it
the reason why
fire.
getting the rig in the backyard. It's like we're doing I think one of the races I messed up on triple touches. I did like one short or something. And I mean that's just lack of like repetitions. I mean, if I instead of going to practice once a week or once every couple weeks, now that I have it in my backyard, I'm doing sets of 5 triple touches like twice a week. I'm not gonna, that muscle memory is gonna kick in on race day where that you're doing 5, not 4.5.
Well, it's also too like grid comes down to like milliseconds, like between winning the race and finishing the race. Um, and when you look at that, you almost have to flirt the line of faulting. And not that you want to fault, but like range of motion is time. And
Yeah,
you've got to hit like the top range of motion because if you're bottoming out on squats or you're, catching yourself deep and all that little stuff makes a difference. But also if you fault, that makes a difference too. And it just, just goes to show you like how the margin of error in the sport is just so razor thin because you see it in races all the time where teams will have their personal best time in something and it still wasn't as efficient as the team next to them and it's crazy
right.
but
Yeah,
um
we kind of pride ourselves on making sure we're doing full range of motion because if you lose to another team and you're hitting all your range of motion and the other team is just a little bit faster than you, that's easier to swallow than, getting 4 no reps and losing
yeah,
because you got 4 no reps. That's the worst. There's nothing worse than that. Because then you're
yeah,
like,
don't
man, we had them and all we had to do was squat another inch and a half and we beat them.
yeah, don't beat yourself. It's hard
Yeah.
enough to win as it is without you, sabotaging yourself. You guys end up losing in that sprint relay, and the Sharks end up going to the championship. But when you look back on 2024, what were your initial reactions and thoughts? And after time, like what's your thought on just the season as a whole last year?
Yeah, I mean that was for me that was my best experience of a full season by far. I mean the first 2 seasons I had with the brigade, like we had so many injuries. We had people like quit on the team halfway through the season. We were trying to scramble and find people for one week and then finding someone else for the next week. It was hard to like watch, you know what I mean? It sucks because like I said, we had that core group of people, the 4 or 5 people that we had that were all in, and it was like, well, we have 4 or 5 people that are all in. We have X people that aren't. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
show up to one or two practices for the whole season, and then on game day mess something up. It's like, well, yeah, no crap that happened. You showed up to 2 practices, or I mean, like the injuries. Like I remember my first year, um, I like regular muscle ups. Like I can do those all day, but then um, Chris falls and hurts his ankle, and Roderick tears his hands, and they're like, "Hey, you ever tried a toe to ring back up rise before?" And I'm like, "No, but I'll give it a try." And I finally
You
like
said, you said a
grinded
what?
one out, and it was brutal, but you know,
So is after that experience, have you practiced those? Is that something that you go, all right, I've got to start learning just because like the war of attrition is real and people in this sport can get hurt and depth is where all of these things matter because if you have really good utility guys that can do a little bit of everything, even if you're a body weight specialist, if you can do a little bit of everything, it just adds that little bit of depth and just helps in the event that someone tweaks something or hurts something or isn't able to continue. Um, is that something you've been working on as far as like, building for the next season is what can I do to increase the depth? Are there any movements that I can possibly help out on when someone goes down or someone's, not their best?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we have the best gymnastics specialist in the league on our team, and Chris. I mean, he's so efficient, so fast in all the movements. Like not just a few movements, all of the gymnastics movements. He is top 2 fastest in if not number one fastest in all the movements. It's crazy. I know there's some people on some teams that are really good at toes to ring back up rise, or they're really good at butterfly muscle ups, but he is across the board in all gymnastics movements. Unbelievable. And yeah, like I'm trying to be the best backup in the league, if you could put it that way. Like I tell everybody, like I do the regular gymnastics stuff so that Chris is fresh for the high skill gymnastics stuff. But yeah, like I've the toes to ring back up rise. I learned last year, and then now this year, the well, I don't even know the official name for it, but the backflip to support or back roll to support.
Yeah.
Um, I've gotten much better at those. Like I was terrified to even like attempt one of those because like I've never even done a backflip on a trampoline as a kid. I don't like going backwards. But yeah, now I got those under my belt, so I'm pretty confident. God forbid nothing happens, but if something happens and I have to fill in for Chris, that I won't be a complete joke out there. I should know what I'm doing now.
Let me ask you this. Now, I've seen Chris get on the rings and do some ring handstands, push-ups. Are you at that level yet?
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously not as
Nice.
efficient as him, but if I have to go out there and do a set of 10 of them, I can definitely get them done.
No, see, that's too much. That's a level like, and when I say level, that's a height that I don't want to be at, because if I come crashing down, like it's not going to bode well for myself and whatever is under me.
Yeah, I've got a
But
lot of practice coming down from the rope climbs pretty quick, so I'm okay with got a lot of practice controlled falling.
yeah, that's, man, it's just scary. Being inverted. It's like going backwards, but like once you're inverted, it's one thing to be anchored on the ground inverted, but it's another to be suspended in the air.
Yeah, just
So
don't let go of those rings.
no, don't do that.
Hold them tight.
What's different about the brigade so far this season than past seasons?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact on having a full team, like I said, the first 2 years that I was doing it, we had the 4 or 5 people that were really vested, and even last year, obviously, it was the whole team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we obviously were missing a couple spots. Like we didn't have a full roster like the Aces or like the Lions, who have had 20 people on their team, and you know, 4 or 5 people are okay with showing up to the match and not playing. You know what I mean? So that's huge to have that many people committed to your team like that. And hopefully we might have a few more surprises that we'll have a full team plus some this year, which would be awesome.
I mean, who knows? Matt Fraser might show up.
Yeah.
You guys will
Matt
be,
Fraser might even show up.
you guys will be set. What it, for you, someone, obviously you talk about the just kind of getting more efficient at certain movements, and you've been in the sport for so long, and like you kind of know what it is that you're going to be called to do on any given race for the most part. But like, what is it that you work on between the seasons? Like, what is your goal for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, every off season since I've started grid, the goal is obviously to get stronger, um, just like lower body wise, because I'm a pretty efficient, strong upper body wise. But yeah, I mean, anything to push me more towards being that full utility player than just body weight specialist. Because like I said, Chris is the body weight specialist, right? Like, there's not a lot of races where you need 2 body weight specialists to be doing those super high skill movements. I'm trying to convince him in our first race to let me do the uh, flip to supports. I'm trying to convince him because we got a lot of ring muscle ups to do. There's like I think 20 ring muscle ups you got to do straight into 5 backwards roll to supports. I'm like, dude, if you knock out a set of 17, 18 butterfly ring muscle ups, and we have a girl knock out a couple ring muscle ups, and then I can just do the roll to supports. He's like, I don't know, I like the high skill movements, so we'll see.
Hey, what what are the odds? Like, are we?
I,
What do we
every
think?
day I'm talking to him in his ear about it. Every practice I'm in his ear about it. Sending him videos like he wants me to. Now I got to butterfly him, right? So instead of getting to the top and coming back down and kipping and coming back up into the roll and support, I gotta get up there and butterfly into the roll to support.
That's crazy. I mean, hey,
See what happens. You got to
it,
stay
it
tuned for
seems
the first
like,
race.
but it seems like it's only fair. I'm I'm just saying, like, if you hit all the things he's asking you to hit, he's got to let you do it, right?
I think the biggest part for him is, evidence, right? So if we practice it at practice and like, I can't do a set of, 15, 17 butterfly ring muscle ups like he can do, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna have to be me do like a set of like 5 or 6 butterfly ring muscle ups and then regular muscle ups for the rest. And then one of the girls on our team are gonna have to do probably, 5 or 6 ring muscle ups instead of 2 or 3, like if he's in doing them. So it's like for him, if the time is faster, I think I convince him to for sure.
Yeah. What I always wondered that, like, when you go into a race, do you have in your head the rep scheme that you're going to do? Like, I just feel like, when it comes down to time, like, if you're like, is it as simple as I'm going to do 6 and you're going to do 4 if you got to do 10? Or is it the first person out is going to do as many as they feel good? And then the next, as long as they do X number, but if they want to do more, they can. And then the next person comes and they finish it out. Like, I've
Yeah, I
always
mean,
wondered, like, what is the discussion like? And is that something that you guys plan out prior to the race?
for sure. I think both are can be true. Because like I said, we have things planned out for sure. Like if we're doing, triple touches and there's 10 of them, like I'm doing 3, then Marissa does 2, then I do 3, then Hannah does 2, and that's how we'll get to 10. Like that's the plan. We always have a plan going in for sure. But there's always, I mean, last year was kind of crazy how many re-races we had to do, right? And that's where the hey, who's still fresh enough to be able to do these kind of comes in. So you do have a plan going in, but you also have to be prepared to be like, hey, whose arms are still fresh enough to do a set of 5 and 3 and 2 to get to that 10 number.
Yeah, it's I never thought about that. There, when I'm looking at some of the matches and we go through a rerun, like, or there's a stoppage, and then you have to like reevaluate and look at the film, and then go back and reset some things. Like, how do you plan that out? And it seems like sometimes you, like you said, you have to modify what you were going to do, and now instead of people doing what they were going to do, now it's smaller sets, and maybe someone else has to come in the mix and do 1 or 2 just to get us by. um but
Yeah,
that's
like
that's
these movements are like I said, when Marissa first explained how to do like double touches and triple touches, it was her wording was like you have to be aggressive. Like it's not like a kipping floating chest to bar. Like when you're doing double touches and triple touches, it's an aggressive like violent pull towards the bar to be able to get that going and keep it going. And so when you're that much effort is being put into those reps, like when you do a set of 5 triple touches, it's your arms are blown up for sure. And having to rerun a race like that, you have to know like, hey, like I only got like 2 or 3 in me left.
Yeah. It's it's also something like, it's like you said, when you practice something, you have this muscle memory, and like the flow, and like you have this rhythm. If you miss on one of those, it throws you off, especially like on a double touch. If you don't hit where you normally hit, or you don't pull hard enough and you're trying to like do some things on the back end of the movement, like it just throws you off, and just any little thing can get you out of whack, basically. And then when you are throwing in like these aggressive pulls and being very violent, like it's just tense, muscle fatigue, and like just time under tension, and it's a lot. So I could see where you guys are beasts, man. Like all those curls in high school, man, they paying off on,
Yeah,
on the
exactly. I
those
mean, just the
touches.
race last year when I messed up one of the triple touches. I'm screaming at Marissa as I'm running off the grid, like, "Hey, you have to do an extra one. I messed up." Like, because and you don't really look at other people's judges, right? So I don't know if she noticed my judge say like no rep on the last one as I'm running off the grid and she's running on the grid. It's like I'm screaming at her as I'm leaving, like, "Hey, you have to do an extra one. Like I messed up." And like, thankfully, she's good enough to she just knocks out an extra one. No big
She's
deal.
like, she's like, gosh, okay, all
Yeah,
right, I'll
fine.
do it. Um, Looking at the season, if we were to fast forward and you guys are competing for a championship in 2025, like, what is the one thing that the team did?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we did last year is exactly what we need to do again this year. It's just we had so many rookies on the team last year, and just the like I can't imagine like from my first year to now, like the amount of knowledge that you get and like just the little secrets and hints that you get like playing grid. Like everyone on our team is going to be that much faster. I mean, we have two girls that were 18 years old last year on our team, and
Wow.
they were playing kids grid half the season, and they also did regular grid in the other half of the season. So it's like we had literally kids grid players on our team, and now it's like that they're a whole year of experience, a whole year of maturing and getting stronger, and some of those girls are stronger than I am. It's crazy.
I mean, they had to sign. They had to get their parents to sign waivers
They
for them
did.
to
They
play.
legitimately did. It was crazy.
Oh
I
man,
was like, we're signing two kids grid athletes, and then you see them do. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem.
hey, if they can play, I mean, like it's a professional sport. When LeBron came into the league, nobody said anything about like you're coming into a man's sport. Like, yeah, adults play this league, like grown folks play this league. Like, you don't have to bring it. But I
Yeah,
mean, that's the
I'm
thing.
excited to see them like thrive because, like I said, obviously they were doing kids grids, so like they knew the rules, but the weights weren't like obviously as nearly as heavy. But I mean, when they played with us, they still held their own. I think we like won most of the ladders that they were in, and yeah, I'm excited for them to have another year of experience under their belt, and they're going to be animals.
Yeah, for sure. That first year is always, kind of a shock to the system because one, you may know a little bit about what you're getting yourself into, but the speed, the intensity, and everything that goes into it is just something that you can't teach until you're just in it. And so
Yeah.
now they have a full season. Now they're coming in, they have the idea, they know what they need to do. But the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is the schedule has been released. May 24th in Miami is when the Brigade open up, and um, you're taking on the Palms. So
Yep.
what is the thought for the first match? I mean, are you guys going, all right, we have to win? I mean, obviously you want to win, but is it like because there's so limited number of regular season matches, is it something where you go in and you go, we have to win? These are all must win matches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure they have a bitter taste in their mouth from last year of beating us and then not making the playoffs still. So they're coming out for revenge, right? And I mean, so are we on the other hand. Is like we would have much rather have won that match and gotten into the playoffs still, right? And we
Right.
just want to, prove to us, ourselves and everybody else that hey, just because we lost that match and still got into the playoffs last year, like we're gonna try to win every race for sure.
Definitely. When you look at this first week of matches, the Breakers taking on the Venom, the Wild taking on the Sharks, and then the Lions taking on Houston. What's another matchup that's intriguing to you?
I'm interested in the Breakers and the Venom. Honestly, they have. I mean, both of those teams are completely renovated, right? Like they have. I don't know if there's anybody that's on the team last year that's still on the team this year, other than like Alex Smith and a few others. Like there's I think two or three people that were on the Breakers last year that are on them. A lot of people went from the Breakers to the Venom, so that'll be interesting to watch. And then obviously the new team, the Bandits, that'll be cool to watch.
Yeah,
A lot of
definitely.
hype coming from their Instagram page, so we'll see if it's holds up or not.
Yeah. The Wild and the Sharks. I mean, you're talking about the 2024 championship. Like the two teams are running it back to start off the 2025 season. I think it's going to be interesting. I could make a compelling case for all of those matches on why you should watch them. Obviously, a lot like you said, like the Venom moving out to Vegas, they're picking up some new players, different caliber of athletes that we haven't seen in the past, and really, they got a couple people coming back, but for the most part, it's going to be a brand new team. And then the Breakers have done, something out of the ordinary. They've done a combine in Alabama. They picked up, four players from there, and they're poised to come back with a strong season. Especially they got uh, 3 people returning that are key to their roster. The Lions now, inheriting some of the players from the Aces. There's no longer the Aces. So what's that, what's that going to mesh like? They're taking on a Houston team that is brand new to Grid. What are they going to look like? You guys have perennially, year after year been one of the most competitive teams in the league, and then the Palms have been around for such a long time and have very consistent. And there was a shot that they needed to beat you guys last year to get into the playoffs, and they couldn't quite make up the point differential. So I'm sure that's sticking in the back of their mind. So and then you look at the Wild and the Sharks. The Sharks have a ton of people. The Wild, I mean, basically they have some people left over, but some key players are no longer with the Wild. So what's that going to look like? But either way, it's going to be a great week or a great weekend of Grid League matches. I know you're excited for the season to come up, and it'll be here before you know it. So get those last minute things dialed in, and be safe with everything. Stay injury free, and obviously enjoy being a dad, man, because I'm telling you, there's nothing better. There's nothing better, and that's coming from a dude that has 2 girls. So,
Yeah, I'm excited for the ride.
hey,
That's for
it's
sure.
fun. It's fun. Just when you think you have it figured out, they got you figured out. Remember that.
Yeah.
Well, Dalton, anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here, man?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate the time. Awesome interview.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. We will, I mean, obviously, we'll, as the season approaches, I'll be out at some of the matches. You'll probably see me quite a bit in the future, but let me know if you want to come back on, or you got anything to say, anything you want to talk about, or just break down some Grid League matches, man. Just let me know. Love to have you back.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Dalton Hererro, everybody. If you like hearing Dalton's story, or you just like hearing average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube. Do 3 things: like, subscribe, notifications. That way you know when new content is dropped. And we will be back. Got another one tomorrow. We'll see y'all then. Be good. If you can't be good, be safe. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.